everyone. Welcome. So, I had to postpone a stream. I was going to do it in an hour. So, I hope we can do that tomorrow. I have that scheduled. So, I hope everyone can attend. And so, I found some videos to review. Hey, Misty K, welcome. There's a few controversial topics that are. Hey, Jack. Few controversial topics that haven't been talked about, and the first one we're going to talk about is something this community knows well, and it's doxing. So, doxing is a little problem that we have here. We had Golden getting doxxed. We had this person gets doxxed. I even got doxxed at one point. So we all know it's a big problem. But Illinois decided to do something about it. So let me just. So Illinois has a new controversial doxing law that they put on the books. And I'm going to we're going to talk about that for a little bit. So local newspapers in Illinois are calling an attack on free speech. And I don't know about that. I don't really know if it's an attack on free speech. It depends on how this law is applied in the courts. So let's put this on. I'm not going to put up the newspaper, the articles for the newspapers because they're awfully biased. They're calling an attack on free speech, attack on freedom, blah, blah, blah. But I decided to go to an Illinois lawyer's website instead. We want the actual law on this. So here we go. So this is the new Illinois anti-doxing law that went into effect a few weeks ago. And this passed unanimously by Illinois state lawmakers, and it was signed by the governor. And it went into effect on New Year's. And we all know what doxing is. Doxing is a type of cyberbullying or online harassment, which personally identifiable information is shared on the internet with the intent to harm or harass another, derived from the term dropping dox. Doxing first made its appearance in the online hacker community in the 1990s. Feuding hackers would drop dox of their rivals or out their username or aliases. Now, although many of us use our real names online, doxing can still cause harm by revealing a person's private information. One important term to note is personally identifiable information, which according to the new cyberbullying law, refers to any information that can be used to distinguish or trace a person's identity, such as name, prior legal name, alias, mother's maiden name, place of birth, in combination with any other information that is linked or linkable to a person. So, personally identifiable information may also include home address, social security numbers, bank account information, workplace details and location, academic or business record, credit card information, medical history, criminal history, personal photos, or private messages or email. There are many reasons one may engage in doxing, but more often than not, it's for revenge or retaliation. This means that anyone can be a target for doxing for any reason. Something as simple as using someone's name in a meme. So, protections under the new anti-doxing law in Illinois. So, this law was passed August 4th, 2023, and the law does not go into effect till New Year's 2024. The law allows doxing victims to take civil action against their attacker to recover damages. An individual intentionally publishes another person's information without consent. The persons whose information is published, in fact, be identified by that information. The person posting personally identifying information does so with the intent to harass or cause harm, and knows or recklessly disregards that person whose information is published may suffer harm as outlined in the act. The published information causes a person to suffer economic injury, emotional distress, fear of bodily injury or death to oneself or loved ones, or substantial life disruption. So this act allows the court to issue protection orders for victims whose safety may be at risk due to doxing. This could mean an emergency order of protection, a temporary restraining order, or an injunction to prevent and restrain the continued disclosure of a person's information. So they're saying, next paragraph is saying how doxing can harm someone. We all know how it can. And here's the paragraph on emotional distress, stalking and harassment, identity theft, job loss, substantial life disruption. So this is interesting because this is something the newspapers are not saying. So someone is providing another's personal information while reporting criminal activity to law enforcement. So if you are gathering someone's personal information to report criminal activity, to sue somebody, you're not criminally or civilly liable. Information that is shared when reporting an incident that is believed to be unlawful. That goes with number one. So, number three, the sharing of a person's personal information that is connected to activity that is protected under free speech laws or the U.S. Constitution and the Illinois Constitution. So, the First Amendment needs to be considered here. So it isn't a criminal offense, it's a civil. So Hey, S. Hockett. Hey, go F you. So, this little pouting by the newspapers is inaccurate. Is totally inaccurate. So just give me a second. All righty. So this is the basics on the law in Illinois. Now, this is a new law. It's brand new. We do have anti-doxing laws for cops. And you just can't post their address or personal information on the internet. That's established law in most states in this country. So this law goes way and beyond that. So now, since this law passed in Illinois, we got a test case. So we got a test case now, and this has a whole different dimension to it. So we're gonna play a video, a news report in Chicago. Hey, Splash and Full. So this whole case that's is going to be played, the test case has different dimensions. It has doxing and it includes defamation. So, and this sort of includes some of the stuff that goes on in this drama community of ours. So some of the shenanigans that could go on. You'll understand when you watch the so let's put this on full screen and
suing after his name and photo were included in a disparaging.
okay.
A Chicago man is suing after his name and photo were included in a disparaging post on a popular Facebook group. It's called "Are We Dating the Same Guy?" It's billed as a way to protect people from bad dates and relationships.
But he says the Facebook group's local chapter has ruined his reputation, and he's hoping a new Illinois law will help. His lawyers talked to CBS 2's Sarah Maki.
Filed Monday at the Dirksen Federal Courthouse in Chicago, a lawsuit from Nico D'Ambrosio names dozens of women, one defendant's male relative, and several tech companies after posts started circulating in this Facebook group with his name, photo, and harassing text messages he reportedly sent to women. Many of the defendants in this lawsuit are moderators for the Are We Dating the Same Guy Facebook page. The one woman listed told us she's not sure if she's on the Chicago chapter and says she's no longer active in the groups.
We've been working on this for several months. We've tried everything but sue these people. We tried sending them registered letters, sending them cease and desist letters, to no avail. And ultimately, we had to go and take this recourse because our hand was forced and they wouldn't take down these posts.
D'Ambrosio's attorneys deny their client sent the message, adding, even if he did, the content would be protected under the First Amendment as free speech. But that's the same issue our legal analyst, Irv Miller, pointed out might be a problem for D'Ambrosio.
I mean, it's not.
But the First Amendment doesn't protect someone from harassment or defamation. So if he doesn't get, I don't know if the doxing law is going to help. They may in this case, but then you go for defamation. If what those ladies did, if they posted shit that wasn't true, they had no proof, blah blah blah, then he can sue them for defamation. The Constitution doesn't protect anybody, nobody, from defamation. So he can just sue for defamation.
Not unusual for parties who feel that they are wronged to file a lawsuit. That's what this whole system is about. So the fact that they're taking it to this particular level is unique. It's interesting, and it'll be complicated.
D'Ambrosio's attorneys hope a new Illinois anti-doxing law against the spreading of personal information, which came effective January 1st, could bolster their case, which they see as a first of its kind. They're now fielding hundreds of calls from other men who say they've seen their personal information attached to other similar forums.
Our client's a victim. He's a victim on this matter, and we want to stop there being additional victims in the future.
We reached out to Facebook for comment on this suit, but have not heard back. There is a hearing scheduled for March 11th at 9 a.m. We'll keep you updated. In the newsroom, Sarah Maki, CBS 2 News.
All right. Thank you, Sarah.
So yeah, it kind of is. It seems pretty vague, overreaching, set up for rife, for people to use it for abuse rather than just for protection. I tend to agree with you, Red Pool. But here in this case, this test case, you have multiple layers. So if you type something or you air something that you know is not true, you know is absolutely false, you type it in any way, you make the allegations any which way, then on top of it, then you post a photo and his name and the guy's name, and so then you have two violations. So the guy gets doxxed, the guy so there's defamation here. Oh, really, MJ? You doxed Golden just to try it? Oh, wow. Hey, Jason. That wasn't very nice of you, MJ. That wasn't very nice. Wow. So these forums have existed for at least 10 years. I've seen them. I actually participated in one once. We were in a little fight one time, and a friend of mine was put on one of them, and we made a mockery out of it. So we all signed up for accounts on, what was the site? It was Dating Psychos. So we made our friend, we made our little friend that got put on there by a troll. we put our little friend that was put on there by the troll, Psycho of the Week or something, or Psycho of the Month. And we were all laughing our butts off. So we decided to rub it in the troll's face and decided to give her attention. We had the victim's full permission to do so. So we decided to mock the situation and tell jokes about it, you know. So we decided one day we're going to put the troll up. But we told the truth. You know, we're not going to sit there and lie, because we're not going to sit there and lie on a public forum. And we outlined her nasty Karen-like behavior. And she couldn't even win Troll of the Month or Troll of the Day, or Psycho of the Day, or whatever they had. She was like a nobody, and she got really, really triggered. So yeah, I'm familiar with those sites, and I'm familiar with them, and they could be very dangerous, actually. You get someone like the tampon, the one that's complaining, crying about Jamie, and it could be very, very hurtful. So some of these crazy Karens, they can write whatever they fucking want on there. On these scorned ex sites. Oh, don't date my ex, for whatever reason, and totally lie. And this is my concern. This is really my concern as a person, because not everyone has the dignity or the integrity to tell the truth on there. As I said before, I had a friend. I have a friend that was put on there just because a Karen wanted to be a bitch, and we took it like because we were decent people, we decided to make a joke out of it. Because we decided to make a joke out of it. But that site was over 10 years ago. And since then, the site's been taken down. I've seen a few others that popped up over the years. So now they got these groups on Facebook, and there's no real oversight into it. And that really concerns me, because anyone can say anything. No proof is ever provided that their ex or their date ever did anything wrong. And it's a he said, she said, or he said, or she said, she said type of situation. And we all could see what's going over at. We all saw what Tiffany did. We all saw what we all see what Ampon is doing. Miss Ames. She's sitting there crying like a little baby because she got dumped. And these Karens have no idea that they could get sued for making these false accusations, or they don't even care. Or they don't even give a shit. What are they going to tell the judge? Oh, I was mad and angry. I couldn't control myself. Isn't that what Mrs. P said to the judge in her case? I forget when she told the judge that. Was it during the restraining order hearing or the anti-stalking order hearing, or was it before the judge in her criminal case? I forget. Don't quote me on that, but she actually told the judge when she gets mad, she can't control herself. And it didn't help her any. The judge didn't take that into consideration when the judge rendered his or her verdict. Did it? Noodle still got her order. She still was held accountable in a criminal court for breaking that order. So is a judge in future cases gonna take "I was triggered" as an excuse? No, I don't think so. Because if a judge took, "Oh, I was upset. Oh, Your Honor, if I was upset. Oh, I lied." If everyone came up with that, there would be no justice in our courts whatsoever. So today we're going to move on, and today was made true crime history. So we're going to play this under a minute news. Damn. Where is it? Oh, there it is. It was right there. All right.
The U.S. Supreme Court says it will not stop Alabama's nitrogen gas execution that's planned for tonight. It would be the nation's first execution using nitrogen gas. Convicted murderer Kenneth Smith survived a botched lethal injection in 2022. That helped to prompt the review of the state's death penalty procedures. The justices, though, denied Smith's request to stay his execution and declined to hear his legal challenge that today's execution violates Eighth Amendment protections against cruel and unusual punishment. Smith said that the first failed attempt to kill him caused him severe trauma.
Oh, poor thing. Poor thing. So Kenneth Smith was executed about 45 minutes ago by nitrogen gas for his crimes. So Alabama became the first state to use an alternate method of execution. other than lethal injection, the electric chair, firing squad, the normal methods that we use in this country. Apparently, they used a nitrogen tank instead of an oxygen tank, and they put the mask over his face. And apparently, it was quick, painless, and he's gone. Bye-bye, Kenneth Smith. Yeah. Yeah, Florida still has it, Jason. So you have the option of Old Sparky or the Hot Needle, you know? But here's the thing. Nebraska's getting this nitrogen thing now, and Mississippi has it, Alabama, I think Oklahoma. Don't quote me on Oklahoma, but I think I just heard Oklahoma has it as an alternate now too. So more states are going to start getting this alternate method since the Supreme Court refused to hear this guy's appeal on Eighth Amendment grounds. So we'll be hearing more about that. And since there's a shortage of lethal injection drugs due to the drug companies. Yeah, Jason, some of these northwestern states that have the death penalty still use the firing squad because they don't have many on death row. And they really don't, and they really never had, they don't have the population to really spend the money on a over at the state prison to actually have like, okay, a lethal injection or Old Sparky, or they just have the sheriff's department come in and shoot. To just being upfront. So I just wanted to put that out there. That the drug companies trying to stop executions in this country is failing miserably. I think, Jason, that was found to be a violation of the Eighth Amendment. I'm not sure. No states have the rope anymore. Because I remember New York used to have Old Sparky. I think they were the first to have Old Sparky. And then other states adopted it. Ohio used to have Old Sparky. Virginia still has it. The electric chair. My state used to have the gas chamber. They converted it into lethal injection. We haven't had an execution in years. So, oh, really? You have Old Sparky too, Missy? Yeah, I know Tennessee does. So, I know Tennessee has the electric chair as an option too. So, I think Georgia declared that unconstitutional. So, for an execution in, yeah, Georgia doesn't allow it. The Georgia Supreme Court ruled Old Sparky is an unconstitutional method of execution. So they can't do that in Georgia. So yeah, and Ohio is having a problem getting the drugs, so they keep oh, you're in Texas. Yeah, that's right, Breezy. Yeah, Texas puts it everything in the express lane with the death penalty. Yep. That's Texas for you. Well, New York used to be in the old days, Breezy. New York State used to be number 1 in the death penalty. New York is still number 1 in the most they put to death. But you're catching up. You're catching up, Breezy. You're catching up. So I think Breezy's going to get a little. If you live in Texas or if you're in a conservative state, the next hey Breezy, by the way. So if you live in a conservative state, you're going to have strong opinions about the next topic of conversation. So there's a new experiment being done with prisons. And what we expect. Oh, you are Asakit. All right. So a lot of people in Texas and in the South, we expect like some kind of Southerners expect some kind of punishment to go with along with an incarceration. But this state is not going by that model. So they're trying something new, and it's kind of offensive to some people. So this is like an 8-minute video. It's a news. You'll get it when.
It's exactly what you would expect. Big fence, barbed wire, and of course, gun towers, like a prison postcard or something.
So it's about 9 o'clock in the morning. We're about 10 minutes away from going inside to Valley State Prison, supposedly one of the most progressive prisons in all of the country. The nickname is Prisneyland, although from the outside, it looks pretty standard, but we'll see what the inside looks like.
So Prisneyland is a compound word for prison and Disney, just so everyone knows. So if someone gets arrested tried and convicted, we're not expecting the state to send them to Disney World. Excuse my French. It's ridiculous.
Let's go.
Thank you.
And it isn't rehabilitation.
Right inside, not much difference.
This is the deadly high voltage electric fence, apparently. Obviously, don't want to touch this.
But the more you get to know Prisneyland, which officials say some locals refer to it as, you realize the first barriers coming down aren't actually physical.
And as we were talking, we don't really call them inmates here.
Incarcerated individuals.
Incarcerated individuals.
And that's where the differences between this prison and others around California just begin. Violence plagues our country's system of incarceration. When people get out, they have extreme difficulties finding a job. And while the data varies state by state, about half end up back in custody within a few years. All of that is why officials say the Golden State is trying to move in a new direction, starting a pilot program at 2 facilities with the goal to replicate the results in Scandinavia, where Norway says reforms over the last 2.5 decades have brought down the rate of reoffending within 2 years to only 20%, much lower than here in the U.S. They've also decreased the prison population significantly and have helped people reincorporate into society after they serve their time.
You have a key to your own cell.
Yeah, everybody has their own key.
Authorities here say.
Key to their own cell? Are you serious? Now that's a security issue. What are you going to do? Give them a key to the facility and they can walk right out the front door? For fuck's sakes.
The most important thing they're trying to change at Valley State Prison is how it feels.
This is the central courtyard.
Yeah.
I feel very peaceful just looking at it.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Am I recording?
Really peaceful.
You're on, man.
Officials told us the only way to truly understand the reforms is by coming and experiencing them.
One of the principles of the California model is normalization. And the idea is we want to make the environment inside our institutions as normal as possible, with the goal of not releasing somebody who's institutionalized, but releasing citizens back to the community who have practiced normal pro-social behavior.
What about the argument that somebody might see this and say, well, isn't part of the goal punishment?
This looks like more of a resort than a prison.
In some way? Why give them all of this nice stuff?
So I would say that people go to court to be punished. That's up to our judges and our juries. And when they come into our institutions, our goal is to basically help them become better citizens. So with that,
I don't think this is what the public has in mind when they think of someone going to prison.
that in mind, we are not in the punishment business. We're in the rehabilitative business.
A big part of that rehabilitation, a wide array of programs where the population learns a variety of coping and calming skills.
And she is a good horse.
Did you know you were going to be grooming horses in prison?
I will, Breezy.
To be honest, I thought I'd be stuck in a cell, maybe a few rehabilitation groups, but it helps me, cope with, a lot of stresses I deal with, day to day here in prison.
The hope is that
probably a fortune, S-Hocket. You're probably California taxpayers are probably paying a fortune for this. A lot. Look at this. Prisoners getting horseback rides and taking care of horses. It's this is pathetic.
Getting a more positive environment makes the men locked up here more willing to rehabilitate. Of the total incarcerated population of 3,000 here, the prison says 2,400 are enrolled in training or education programs, including high school and college.
Okay, all states have that. All states have education opportunities. All right. That's fine. Many inmates never finish high school. I'll give them that for providing inmates education. That's fine. They're learning something. They got to learn behavior skills, because the skills that they learned on the outside weren't helping them in the first place. But they offer that in all 50 states. But here's the thing. They're going way, way overboard with this prison land model, in my opinion. It's just too much. I'm just saying.
This day is the first day of the rest of our lives. We can start our day at any time.
When you came in and you saw what this was, what was your impression?
I thought I was going to come to prison and get worse, but coming to prison actually saved my life.
Wow. Say that again.
Coming to prison saved my life.
Since they started running these programs in 2017, Valley State.
Did you just say that for the camera, or are you just saying that because you're getting it easy?
Prison says it's reduced violence compared to other peer facilities. According to reports from the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, prisons across the state have seen between 15 and 32 homicides total each year between 2017 and 2021. At Valley State, 0. And only 1 recorded assault or battery against staff versus the hundreds at other facilities.
Get in the middle.
Yeah, because because this, in my opinion, in this state facility, they're basically bending over backwards for the inmates. So there's no discipline, practically. And if there is discipline, it's probably they put you in a timeout chair or something. You know, it's like, look at this place. It's like getting special privileges up the ass.
Oh, you guys are gonna circle me.
One of the most successful programs is dog training. Inmates working with puppies to become service dogs, eventually sent to help people across the country.
You know, for a long time, we were releasing citizens back into the community that had not improved their thought process. They had not rehabilitated from their behavior. And
I know, right? That's how could they get a 401k too? You know? And then when they get a job, they have to kick back a percentage to their employer, who also gets a kickback from the prison for placement. You're absolutely right, Jason. You're absolutely right. 100%.
and they go out and reoffend. And so when you start to introduce rehabilitative programs, when you start to introduce hope into this community, you really are transforming their thought process.
Oh, look at that. They're on the internet too. They got animals. What if they're in for animal abuse? Felony animal abuse. Do they give them an animal too? Yikes.
The dog trainers back to their cells. The doors lock from the outside, but they look a little more like something else.
Feels like a dorm.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Did you expect that when you came in?
No.
So right now we are walking your dog past the pool table, back to your spot in prison. It's pretty wild. So is this like the dog wing? It almost feels.
This is a facility where I see the most freedom. It's like, are you kidding me? Oh, look at this inmate. He has a laptop computer. Does that access the internet?
Feels like to a lot of people that might watch this that
they're too easy on us.
Yes.
I would say no, because a lot of us worked our ways down.
Sure.
So I came from a higher level, and it took me 7 years to come down to this.
People that are going to see this and say, shouldn't prison be a punishment? In some way. It should be reformation too, but it should also be, it should suck, right? Yeah, so this doesn't suck.
It does suck.
It does suck. Okay, tell me why.
It does suck, right? I don't get to hug my family. Right. Would you rather want somebody coming out and getting reformed, or somebody coming in and getting out the same way they came in?
All right, I'll take that argument, but here's the thing. All right. Okay. Mm-hmm. I 100% agree with you, Wendy. Keep the killers in their cages. And according to this, big yikes. Well, who knows, Jack? If you hold on, let's go back a little bit. See, dog. Let's rewatch here.
Each year between 2017 and 2021 at Valley State, 0. And only 1 recorded assault or battery against staff versus the hundreds at other facilities.
Get in the middle, you guys are gonna circle me.
One of the most successful programs is dog training. Inmates working with puppies to become service dogs, eventually sent to help people across the country.
You know, for a long time, we were releasing citizens back into the community that had not improved their thought process. They had not rehabilitated from their behavior, and they go out and reoffend. And so when you start to introduce rehabilitative programs, when you start to introduce hope into this community, you really are transforming their thought process.
We followed a few of the dog trainers back to their cells. The doors lock from the outside, but they look a little more like something else.
Feels like a dorm.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Did you expect that when you came in?
This sort of contradicted itself. Some of the inmates have keys to their own cells. It's like, might as well just give them the key to walk right out the door. Damn. Now they're saying that, oh, the door's locked from the outside, like they're supposed to. Damn.
No.
So right now we are walking your dog past the pool table back to your spot in prison. It's pretty wild. So is this like the dog wing? It almost feels like to a lot of people that might watch this that
they're too easy on it.
Yes.
I would say no, because a lot of us worked our ways down.
Sure.
So
okay.
I came from.
Did you just hear that? He just said we work our way down. They must be S-Hocket because really big yikes. You gotta go there. So So they start at higher security and they gotta work their way down. That's what this guy's saying, practically. So you could be in for murder 1 in California and end up in a place like this. That's what he's practically saying. I don't know if that's because there's a few in some states you can get convicted of murder 2 and end up in a place like this. Hey, Lonnie. And I'm going to talk about the good side of this and the bad, Lonnie. So stay tuned. What's reasonable for inmates? This is just an extreme, Lonnie, you know?
My higher level, and it took me 7 years to come down to this.
People that are going to see this and say, shouldn't prison be a punishment? In some way. It should be reformation too, but it should also be.
I agree with that reporter.
Suck, right? Yeah, so this doesn't suck.
It does suck.
It does suck. Okay, tell me why.
It does suck, right? I don't get to hug my family. Right. Would you rather want somebody coming out and getting reformed, or somebody coming in and getting out the same way they came in, or worse?
Well, that inmate does have a point.
Steve Patterson.
Because if someone did something to me, I'd rather have them come out reformed than so they're not anyone else's problem. But at the same time, I wouldn't want them going to a place like Disney World while serving their time either. That's just plain old offensive. What I'd rather have is the mental health services and the transition services. And if they have if they're eligible for parole or whatever. I'm not saying go in there and abuse the inmates because they're human beings. I'm saying you set the rules of the facility, and if they're broken, you take away their privileges, like a behavior modification system. Because apparently some of these people that go to state prison, they don't, what's the word I'm looking for, the phrase, they weren't raised right. So they need the state to give them a little bit of structure. So
after taking us to prison land is joining us now. We are so grateful to you for bringing us that inside look with that rare access, Steve. So here's a question, right? And some of those numbers, pretty noteworthy that you talked about as it relates to this particular facility. What about if one of the goals is to prevent reoffenders from coming back into the prison system? Is that actually working? Is it helping some of these incarcerated individuals, as they call them, lead more productive lives after they get out?
You know, I think it's important to say all of this is still too early in the program's life. Okay. We're still in the proof of concept territory, right? This is a pilot program at 2 of the state's more than 30 prisons. What does it look like when you scale that up? We just don't know yet. What I can say, though, is that the early data is really promising. The stories that we've heard both in the inside and the outside speak volumes. And it's so important because we were able to get that access. So there's so much more reporting that we've done on this, from the women's prison across the street to some of the vocations training that they're doing, to a guy who was released from behind bars after more than 10 years. All of that, including some more of the data, I can't wait to share with you. Allie.
We can't wait to see it more here on this show, Steve. We're going to have you right back here next week. Thank you so much, friend. Really appreciate all the hard work and time that you and your team and your producer, PJ, have put into this. Thanks.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and...
Okay, there we go. Well, you got a point there, Sarah. Nowhere is Disney World if you can't leave, but if you're treated like but if you're treated so great in the state penitentiary, the state prison system, and the guards will bend over backwards for you, you know, it's pretty I could see rewards for good behavior, Lonnie, in any facility, to be honest with you, but they give you this for just being there. Yeah, they just get these privileges for being there. They don't have to earn them. So they did an experiment in Arizona. They did an experiment in Arizona where everyone remembers Sheriff Opayo in Maricopa County. He ran on a campaign. He ran on a campaign of people return to prison, the recidivism rate, because prison is, or the county jail. Yeah, the 10 cities, remember, Jason? So he thought his philosophy was that county jail was a walk in the park. So his philosophy was to make county jail as miserable and as degrading as humanly possible. So he ran on that platform and he won by a landslide. All right. This was back in the 90s. This was after 94, 96 or something like that. He ran sheriff. He had the pink underwear. He had the pink handcuffs. He had the tent city. So he would so Sheriff Arpaio would refuse to release people based on overcrowding. He, as Jason just pointed out, he put up tents. And from what I'm hearing, he put up the tents for like low-level offenders such as drunk drivers, people who didn't pay their child support, blah, blah, blah. Yup. In the desert heat. It says you commit the crime, you're gonna be treated just like everyone else. And he made the jail as miserable as possible. He even took away everyone's special privileges. So they took the numbers from that experiment, and that was a failure too. So they looked at the recidivism rate, and it didn't make a difference whatsoever. It made zero difference. But the people of Arizona liked Sheriff Arpaio because he thought that I think that this is just my take on it. The people liked to see the inmates suffer, maybe. And at first he had the cheapest prison in the country, cheapest county jail. And if you want to run a cheap jail, if you want to eliminate special privileges and the whatever, I'd have no issue with that. It's just at first he ran it cheaply. Let's just put it that way. At first, Sheriff Arpaio ran it cheaply, and then came the misconduct by his staff. All right. Then came the he went a little too far with some of the misconduct, and the lawsuits started coming in. So the numbers that came out was he wasn't saving any money. He wasn't saving the taxpayers a dime by what he was paying out in lawsuits to the inmate abuse and wrongful death suits and so that experiment failed miserably. It isn't, Jack. It isn't a violation of the 8th Amendment, cruel and unusual punishment, to have a one-size-fits-all system of incarceration that treats a murderer the same as someone who vandalized. It isn't, because take a look at the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. It says everyone's treated equally under the law. So that experiment failed, and then they tried the new model in some states, which, because, Jack, we don't sentence vandals to life sentences because the sentence has to fit the crime. It's just that the if you're confined to a jail facility, all inmates are treated the same. You just don't send one inmate, one set of inmates to a lush facility, a country club type facility, and then sentence another set of inmates to a maximum security facility. Okay. Okay, Jack, I'll give you that. But that's the way it's supposed to under the Constitution, Jack. I'm an advocate. Okay, Lonnie, let me say this. I'm an advocate for programs and rehabilitation. All right. I'm an advocate for that. But when you put in a facility all these special privileges and everything, it just puts a bad taste in Americans' mouths. Well, some inmates, they do have they don't graduate from high school, and I could see them getting an education, getting some life skills, but at the same time, they should have the same housing environment that every other state prison. Now, as to your point, Lonnie, I think mental health should be a priority in a state facility, because there's something very wrong with, I'd say, over 2/3 of the criminal population that goes into a state prison or a county jail. So taking care of their mental health needs actually helps with, what do you call it? The violence. Because if you put them on medication, and a medication that works, they're less likely to assault other inmates. They're less likely to assault staff without bending. Absolutely, yes, Hockett. It's not. But I know former county jail guard in Alabama, and she said that the mental health system there was so bad, it was like non-existent. When she was working there. And she said that they would used to have to, they were called in maybe 15, 20 times a day to call a fight. They were called in to restrain a mentally ill inmate. They were assaulted often. The guards were often assaulted. The inmates often started fights with each other. And if you watch 60 Days In, it will be like an inside look at our county jails and the problems that occur each and every day. And the county jails in this country that provide mental health services, they're actually lacked. So if you are lucky to get medication, some of the inmates sell their medication, but they put it under the tongue and they sell it to other inmates to snort and get high. Now, a lot of these county jails need to find a solution to that. So the inmates that are psycho get their medication. They're not a threat to themselves or others. And you'll see the violence practically go down. I'm sure, Jack. I'm sure. It's a problem. You shouldn't be. They should be worrying on mental health, giving them life skills, some structure, could give these inmates respect for authority. Yup. That's Hockett. You're absolutely right. Right. You see these things on 60 Days In, and it's like, oh my God. They go cell from cell, and they ask if they need meds. Some run around naked. Some even shit in their cells. And throw it all over the place. I'm serious. Yeah, I 100% agree with you, Jack. Not all crimes are equal. Low-end idiots that screwed up with hardened serious criminals is ignorant. It's morally indefensible. I 100% agree with that. Because some people that go to prison for a nonviolent offense, yes, it will violate. The stream will stay up. So they actually go into prison. They learn from these hardened criminals, and they come out worse than they were. Now, they said on that video that California has how many prisons? 30 state penitentiaries, 30 state prisons. Some states have more, some have a few less. I'm sure Texas has its share. But they can't segregate. They can't assign a facility by crime or the type of crimes they commit. For example, they could put sex criminals or sex people convicted of sex crimes in one state prison. And they could put people convicted of financial crimes in another. And then they could put the violent felons, murder, rape. Not rape, but you know what I'm talking about, into another type of facility. So that, and then the first timers go into another facility. So Jack has an actual point. So you lock up the prisoners by the type of crime they committed. Mm-hmm. And I'm a good yeah, that's only a portion of the prison population, Jack, that are murderers and rapists. That's just a small portion. There are addicts, thieves. We all know what kind of crimes addicts commit, right? Addicts commit crimes where they steal, they lie and steal. So they commit usually low-level crimes to feed their habits. As you stated in your comment, thieves, they steal. So why don't you just put the lifers or death row in one prison, put the sex offenders in another, and put the addicts in other facilities? I don't see putting murderers in with nonviolent offenders is productive. That's just me. It's common sense. So Jack Arpaio's experiment failed. Mm-hmm. Yup. I can agree with that. Because, and what happens when they admit these criminals to state prison is they don't even get a psych exam. So the guards that go to work every day, they don't know what they're walking into. How is the guard supposed to know what they're dealing with on a daily basis? How are they supposed to point out which one killed somebody versus which one stole $20,000 from somebody and is serving 10 years or something for it, or robbed a bank or did something like that? when they're all put together. That could be very dangerous for the guards. Good night, Lonnie. Wafers? Lonnie, I never heard of that. Hey, Becca Chu. Yeah, so our prison system is broken. If you really think about it. So you see the California system. Mm-hmm. So you see that, so Jack Arpaio failed, and this system reduces jailhouse violence. Now there's another type of facility that reduces jailhouse violence, and it's restricted movement. Now what does restricted movement mean? It means it's one person gets out of their cell at a time. You don't get out of your cell without handcuffs on. It's like a form of maximum security, and that seems to be very effective. Mm-hmm. I can agree with that, Jack. And they have a bunch of morons running some of these facilities too. Because they had this show on A&E. It was New Mexico Rookies. They showed something very interesting. They showed how stupid some of the guards are. I'm not saying every single guard that works for corrections is stupid or corrupt. But they showed a few of the guards have a breach of security. And I was like, when I was watching, I was like, whoa, you actually did that? It was like, let me watch that again. So you left the gate open for inmates just to walk right through. Oh, that's a wonderful idea, Lonnie. That's a wonderful solution. Maybe that's another reason why you don't have issues in Australia. You know, when they have these wafer things that they put under their tongues, and they actually take their meds. Because I'd seen on 60 Days In that some of them just put them under their tongues, take the pills out, and they snort them with Jolly Ranger candies. And it was like, okay, that's disgusting. And then they're using soda bottles to get high off of. They're using some kind of carbon dioxide just to get high off of. Another way to do it in this country is they can they don't have those wafers, as you call them. They can use injectables. That will stop that in its tracks. Yeah, but usually when you have the inmates take their medication, they're better behaved. I'm just pointing something out. But some of these county jails, they just say, "Oh, we're just going to save money, and we're not going to invest into the mental health. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do that." And then they release these inmates, and they're a danger to the community. So they come out and they commit the crime again and again. That's another issue, all on its own. And then some of these inmates, I'll tell you this. The jail doesn't treat the mentally ill right. They put them on the wrong meds. Or they put them on nothing at all. And then it affects their criminal case. Because the law said they got to be competent to stand trial or fit to stand trial. So when the jail refuses to medicate or put them on the right or on a medication that doesn't really work for them, since everyone's different, then what happens is their lawyer files a motion with the judge saying, "I don't think my client's competent." So then they go, it delays things a bit. And then they got to go get a psychiatric evaluation. And if they're found incompetent, that derails the state's case. They could be thrown in a mental institution instead of jail. And from what I researched on the state mental institution, isn't a walk in the ballpark either. So plus this prison for profit industry isn't helping situations either. Or a for-profit justice system that prioritizes creating product. Now, the California system, what they're trying is just outrageous. They're just trying to turn their prisons into a country club and seeing how it turns out. Now, they could turn a facility, they don't have to do a damn thing to it, and just have rules, every inmate's treated like a human being. We're going to focus on mental health. And we're going to have these reentry programs into society. If you want an education, that's fine. We'll give that to you. But none of these outrageous things I saw on that tape. And then, as Lonnie pointed out, in her country, they make sure they get their medication. And she correctly pointed out they have these wafers that dissolve, so they can't sell their medication. Hey, Daria. So you either get this violent system of justice in state prisons. You got these gangs that take over the prison. Absolutely, Jack. High school doesn't prepare students for the workforce. Colleges don't. Most colleges don't either. Prisons don't prepare petty offenders for reintegration to society, and I think they should. Because in some states, they actually have a program, which I actually support. They got prisoners that are in there for 10, 15 years, and technology changes quickly. Technology changes to the point where if they were released like 10, 15 years later, someone walking out of a state prison would say, wait a minute, this is a whole different world. I'm overwhelmed. What's this? What's that? And they have to relearn everything to what they missed. And so they got a little program in some of these state prisons. If you have an upcoming parole date or you got paroled. So for example, if you got so if an inmate got paroled after like 10 years or something, then the prison enrolls you in a program where they teach you what the latest technology is and how to use it. For example, there was one person that was thrown in jail. I think she was in the 70s. And she didn't even know what a microwave was. She didn't know what a cell phone was. You know, it was like she didn't even know what a video game was. So they had to show her, this female inmate, how to use a microwave, how to make a phone call. And this other stuff. So when she got out, she knew how to integrate back in. She says, oh, okay, I know what I'm doing. I can see a program like that, but it's like when you look at Disneyland or Disney, it's like it looks like an amusement park with animals and yeah, and then you have convicts that are getting all this stuff for free. They're getting free education, free this, no student loan. Well, you have the rest of society. Some of them have to get student loans, debts, and they're not even prepared for what's next. I fail to see the what's fair about the whole thing. Yeah, prison system makes more money not rehabilitating petty offenders. Instead, they let them graduate to the big house. Yeah, they need to focus on mental health, prison violence, not making the inmates stay as comfortable as possible. I'm just being frank here. Because we sit there and we look at that people from Texas, people from the South, some people from the north, it's cringe. I'm sorry. It just looks, by the look of it, it's like cringe. Many inmates in this country don't even get TV. But in California, if you're in one of those facilities, you get to watch TV all night and day. I can see keeping them occupied instead of getting violent, but this is just. I watched that article. I watched that video, and I was like, my jaw dropped. I'm sure the Scandinavian system isn't that lush. Maybe it is. I don't know. I'm probably gonna have to look into it because I'm just shaking my head, you know. I heard in Britain they coddle the prisoners, but they say, oh, it's all gonna be all right. There has to be a place in the middle where the left and the right can just agree on something. Not make our prisons country clubs, but have both punishment and rehabilitation. Because I could see the victim's point of view. They can't stand the person. They hate the person. They committed crimes against them. I see that. I see that point of view. Oh, wow. That's Hockett. 9 years for murder over there? That's kind of light. That's light. But it's not, Jack. College educations are not dropping, they're rising. And a lot of these non-violent offenders, they're getting more time than a violent offender. Go figure that one out for me. Go figure that one out. Go figure that one out. You know, it's so some of these systems overseas, it's like I heard prison in Israel. I looked inside one of those on a TV show, and it was like it looked even more lush. It's like, why are they even there? It didn't even seem like a prison. It seemed like a college dormitory. It didn't seem like it was a punishment, or it didn't seem like they're offering rehabilitation services of any kind. It just that's what they're showing, and sometimes they don't show the whole story on these reporters. Just want you to see what they want you to see, which are spoon fed, and you know, news stories are coming out biased, and I even looked at that news article for the doxing, and they says, oh, our First Amendment rights are getting violated. Really? We'll let the Illinois Supreme Court figure that one out. Or the U.S. Supreme Court. They may or they may not overturn the law, the anti-doxing law. However, they may give a legal framework on how to do it. So, all right, everyone. I want to thank everyone for coming. I'm going to shut it down now. Please thumbs up on the way out. And I'll see you next time. All right, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.